me to show you Mr. Limpet this weekend? You'd like it, actually. You probably would find it hilarious.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, just the premise.
I don't watch a lot of TV.
How is that possible? He was just a man, now he's a fish.
I don't think I'm like that.
Whoa.
I don't think I'm like that.
Yeah,
That's
actually, I
not
talked to
really what I'm like.
I talked to Phil today during he did his Awaken 180 read, and usually we do the read and then we shoot the breeze for a little bit. We talked about your pop culture. No, it's just amazing. Just amazing. What? So, I mean, all right, there weren't a lot of friends involved. We know this. We know there was a lot of math and there was a lot of mandatory meetings of the wildlife behind your house. There was tea parties with a long table and you, and then stuffed animals all through the thing.
I read a lot of books.
There we go. I know you did. Too bad they didn't write a book about Mr. Limpet.
Yeah, too bad.
But then again, sometimes you do have some pop culture. Like, you do know some modern pop culture, which is
occasionally.
A lot of listeners probably don't know this stuff. You know, all the stuff that you know. You do know some things.
Like what?
Yeah, her music's pretty good, I think. H-O-T-T-O-G-O, you can take me home.
Stop it. Don't make fun of me.
Hold on, one more.
Pink Pony Club, I'ma keep on dancing in the Pink Pony Club.
I can
Stop
deal with you saying I'm all day.
No. Stop.
Did you? Oh, wait, I'm not allowed to talk about it. I mean, that doesn't matter because you're the superior person out of the two of us.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Given. Obviously.
Can you lift up that camera?
Oh, is it hitting your fat where you don't?
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. So, I just want to, I want to do a dissection. A dissection. I had a caller today. He's called in a few times. He's a pretty good caller. It doesn't take him long to explode. So, and I just happened to be mentioning, among other things, guess there was three things today. One of which was the tariffs. The second was, I forgot the second one. And the third one was all these Joe Biden books coming out now, where the heroic media is sounding the alarm 5 years too late. 5 years after they could have broken the story, had they given it in.
I was just thinking about that today. Like, how incredible is it that a year ago Joe Biden was president and you weren't allowed to notice that he was losing his mind?
Oh, right. And if you went on the Sunday shows and said that he seems to be losing his step, they would say, sir, they call those cheap fakes. Sir, the White House has been calling those cheap fakes. So, and we can't confirm here on this channel that he was actually wandering out into the field himself. Sir, the White House says those are cheap fakes. So, and before that, they were saying that we were making fun of his stutter. It is not a good thing when the media is either willfully blind or literally the most news blind people in the world. I mean, these are the D.C. media, the Washington, D.C. network media, the big guys, the people who make at least $500,000 to start are politics blind. They simply can't see it. What do you mean? No, I didn't see anything. It's perfectly normal. He just said dog-faced pony soldier. And yeah, it's John Wayne. I just saw on Twitter, they said it's an old John Wayne thing. It's perfectly normal. For a woman to ask him, a progressive woman from a town hall meeting, say, Mr. Biden, do you think you have a clear path? Listen, dog-faced pony soldier. That's totally normal. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. So anyway, gets me to my friend, caller Jim. Do you know Jim?
No.
We may have heard Jim.
Maybe.
Jim is a good caller because he hate listens to the station, to the station. And I like that. I like a guy who goes from over to God knows where he goes. And this is part of why I want to play his call, is because where he is going is giving him such specific narrow casting information that you wonder, like, where are you finding this stuff? And it's not uncommon that I have callers call up the radio show who want to get one past me, want to beat me in the call, so to speak. And so a lot of them will have a random fact that, that Trump actually hated the line item veto.
Is this like the guy who calls up and is like, so you think Obama raised taxes? And then he, like, tells me how, like, Obama actually lowered taxes according to some stupid study or whatever.
It is, yes. Somebody will have, it's kind of like the a camper in a first-person shooter video game, yeah, you get credit for the one shot you had that I couldn't possibly know about because it's so random. That like Trump said something negative about Reagan's line item veto in '84, and like, yeah, okay, I didn't know that. You're right. There you go. You got a win for the day. There are enough random things out there that you didn't know. So that's one of the ways that people try to, when they're angry, they want to get one by you. Another way is to try to psychologically come at you. You sound unhinged. Why is that? Oh, this seems to be really bothering you. These are all ways because they want to make me hurt because they're so pissed off and they're angry that I'm not getting pissed off. As a matter of fact, they're angry that a lot of times that I'm advocating for it all, it's Trump stuff. Even though in the world of talk radio, I'm one of the least Trump suck-up people in the world.
Yeah.
But unless I'm taking a shot at him in Pennsylvania somewhere, I'm a Trump sucker. So whatever. So today I was talking about the Joe Biden thing and how it's amazing that these people are coming out and saying, wow, as it turns out, he was crazy the whole time. And so Jim calls up and Jim decides that's where he's going to start his call. That's his angle where he's going to start, is to take me on from there. Go to Jim on the road. Hey, Jim, what's going on?
Why can't you get over it?
Well, because now the media is coming out doing a victory lap about how all of their sources have told them that Joe Biden was non-compos mentis. These same people who could have looked for the past 6 years, could have done their job, are now preening and wanting praise. So I assume where Jim gets his media, he doesn't really know that there's a new damning book about Joe Biden out. And it's not that I'm not over it. It's that it's back in the news cycle. So that's the thing. And I just said that to Jim. But Jim's going to move on now because that was not really the thing. He thought, okay, we'll try the Grenadiers first. And if that doesn't work, well, the cavalry goes in.
Listen.
And this guy was a vegetable. And if they just spent 10 minutes looking into him, like Jim, there are some dimensions where the media would never have stopped looking had White House had cocaine been found in the White House. But our Washington media, they just gave up. The Secret Service said, we don't know. We can't find it. Sorry. And that was it. Like, that's it?
I'd rather have a vegetable doing
Now
nothing.
we're getting to what Jim really wanted to say. It doesn't matter. Why won't I get over it? That's gone now. Now we're doing the equivalency thing.
No harm than what's going on now.
Did your vegetable cause no harm, Jim?
And you can gaslight all you want about Biden.
Did the vegetable cause no harm? Jim, hold on. Did the vegetable cause no harm? How about in Afghanistan? How about the incursion into Ukraine by Putin? How about all of the high prices?
How come there's no tariffs on Russia?
So when he said that, I didn't know that today. Or no tariffs. There's a whole bunch. I've been driving and doing life and all sorts of stuff for the last few. So I saw the big list yesterday for a flash. We did the podcast. I'm back doing the show this morning. I didn't realize there was no tariffs on Russia. But I knew that we'd been sanctioning Russia, which is what I told Jim. There's a whole bunch of tariffs and sanctions on Russia.
There's not.
There's a whole bunch of sanctions on Russia.
Not tariffs. No tariffs. Wasn't on the chart.
Was it not on the chart? I don't know, Jim. I don't know.
Why don't you spend more than 1 minute talking about the classified information going around on people?
Okay, we're now moved on. But so I think it's interesting. My point about playing this is that I happen to be right. I didn't know why there was no tariffs on Russia, but I deduced that there was no tariffs on Russia because we were sanctioning Russia.
Because there's other stuff going on in our negotiations with Russia.
But also, there's sanctions on Russia, which I had known about. But there's almost no trade with Russia because of the Ukraine thing. So that's why there's no tariffs happening because there's no Russian container ships coming to the United States right now.
We're not importing much from Russia at the moment.
Right. So that's the reason. But I didn't know that was the reason. I knew that there was sanctions like I just said, but I looked at it afterwards and just looked into it. And I said, oh, I see. That's the official thing is that there's, because we're at war, a proxy war with them. We're not helping them anyway because of the Ukraine thing, whatever. But I think it's interesting that his news source, whatever he goes to for his news that is designed to get him pissed off, that his news source cherry-picked that particular news story that there's no, and if you Google it,
Yeah, I tried to type in no tariffs, and the first thing that came up said no tariffs on Russia.
So in the one, like the Hill wrote about it among others, but they didn't write about it in an incendiary fashion, the way Jim would need it. So he obviously listens to broadcast radio or TV that is made to piss him off. Whether it's one of the crazy far left websites or Mother Jones or something's telling him, be alarmed. Guess what? Guess who's not on the thing? Russia. Ha ha ha. Because that would be for somebody on the far left. If you're a deranged Tesla torching person, that's what you want to hear, right? I was validated the whole time. Of course he's not from Russia. But I do think it's interesting because can you imagine that only listening on the left to listening to those or watching those sources that push away? And by the way, if Mother Jones, whoever was, had reported on it, they could also have provided him the answer. But why provide the answer? Your goal is to get these people ticked off. But it does go to show you just how dangerous, like some of these websites, some of these news platforms are for people on the left who aren't okay. Jim's about to move on to his third complaint of the show. First was my psychological
You're not
need.
over.
I'm not over it.
The Joe Biden thing.
Right. And the vegetable was better than this guy anyway. And then tariffs, no tariffs on Russia because Putin owns Trump. And now he needs to, what he needs, this whole call, and this is the rest of it. The first piece was just the news, where are you going for news? That's your tidbit. Which is a really ancillary tidbit too, because you're not getting any background. I mean, they should have provided doesn't matter. It's fine.
Well, it's also like of all the things to focus on with the tariffs, there's plenty to hit Trump on tariffs because lots of very reasonable people think it's a terrible thing.
Most of the reasonable people think it's a terrible thing. I know.
So there's a lot of ways to come at it where you could criticize Trump where there aren't a lot of good answers.
But it's totally this thing they do that's totally overkill, and you're about to hear the overkill.
Cell phones, unauthorized.
I have spent time on. I want to know exactly how that happened, Jim. I want to know how much has happened. And by the way, Jim, he's saying then you better the signal thing, whatever. Which of course I've talked about.
You haven't spent enough time on it.
Which of course I've talked about it because I want to know the answer, and of course I've talked about it. The thing is that when I say something that Jim agrees with, he's not recording anymore.
Right.
That goes right through. He doesn't hear.
Month on Hillary Clinton, but a minute on your incompetent friend.
Were you even
I was
on
not.
radio when Hillary Clinton was
not on the radio. I spent a month not on the radio, not doing anything.
You were not in any capacity on the air anywhere.
Right. But this is an angry prosecutor who's simply throwing the charges at me, hoping one sticks. Well, was I even on the radio during Hillary Clinton? But I'll tell you one thing. The Hillary Clinton thing was not good. And absolutely, I spent plenty of time on the Signal app. I want to know who did it. Why? How? Is this guy Waltz a plant? Is he giving Goldberg information? Absolutely. I did all of this stuff, Jim. You got the wrong guy if you think you're going to pigeonhole me into just being, a Rush clone or a Sean Hannity clone. I'm not that guy.
Okay.
I have been more analytical. Jim is now regrouping. So he's not done. He didn't come here.
He's going to say okay in a supercilious tone so that he can make it clear that he's going to let you get away with this one, but he's not. He doesn't really buy it from you. Your little act.
It's 4th and 1, and he's still going to go for it. Didn't come here to go 4-3 and out. He is going for it here. And critical of the tariffs today. I haven't seen. You're informing me about the Russia's not on the tariff list. I haven't even gotten that far into the world of tariffs. That said, I can tell you that we do sanction the hell out of Russia, and I get the feeling we're about to get a lot tougher with Russia.
Open up your 401. See how your 401s are doing. Congratulations, you elected an incompetent. You elected an incompetent.
Well, my 401s did really well the last time around, and I think they'll probably do well this time around.
Well,
I'm not as comfortably off as you, Jim, but it doesn't really matter that much.
Good luck. The guy's incompetent. Good luck with us.
I'm sorry,
Terrible.
Jim. It doesn't. Your guy tanked the economy, not Trump. Trump.
No.
So now we're off that. We're now the guy is just incompetent. He might be incompetent. We'll see. Last time around, he was fine. I do like the idea that Jim feels that like I've checked my 401s. The patient is on life support, Jim. We're not. We're not getting a pedicure at the moment here.
That's not really true, is it?
You might be right, Jim.
That's not really true.
If you are right, and other people are right, and almost everybody who I respect, who I'm listening to.
Wait till you go buy a pair of sneakers and they're $300, $400.
That could happen, Jim.
And
Jim, if that happens, Jim, then I will heart and hand come to you and say, Jim, you were right about that.
It's going to happen because we can't manufacture that stuff as cheaply because our labor costs are higher.
Of course we can't manufacture that stuff as cheaply as the rest can. But Jim, how come other countries are allowed to have a 60% tariff on us and we're not allowed to have any tariff on them?
He couldn't run a casino. And
he ran all sorts of stuff. Jim, he's got the billions of dollars, not you, okay?
They all went bankrupt.
They didn't all go bankrupt. He's got the billions of dollars, Jim, not you. Don't try to tell me that he didn't do anything.
You don't know what I'm
not even a big Trump guy. I don't even understand this. Sorry, Trump. But by the way, so what is it? That he's the most incompetent person? Is it that that he destroyed the economy? So now, like, who's going to say, whose biggest grievance with Trump is that he couldn't even run a casino? I want a man in the Oval Office who can run a casino. We are now down to the item 7 now. Couldn't even run a casino. But he did run casinos. He's got also, the whole story of Trump is that he doesn't stop. Casinos, steaks, vodka, Trump University, golf courses, and some of them fail and some of them don't. But that's the whole story. The guy just keeps on going and keeps on going. And he obviously believes in the American dream. He's good at business, okay? He's also, and Elon Musk is good at business. These people are good at that. He's good at rockets. Sorry, Jim.
Okay.
The building says Trump, not Jim.
Live in your delusion.
I'm not living in a delusion. I'm just not going to be taken away with this. The thing is that here's the thing in this, is that I have acknowledged to Jim that I'm seeing what's happening in front of me. I have been honest with him about the tariffs. I've been honest with him about Signal. I've seen what's happening in front of me. The point is that these people want you to lose your effing mind. And if you're not all in losing your mind, then somehow you're either brainwashed, drinking the Kool-Aid,
living in the delusion. Yes,
living in the delusion. You don't see what's happening in front of you. No, the problem is that Jim wants to run around with his hair on fire.
Yeah.
And anybody not performing, who's not yelling at women because they're not wearing masks, anybody who's not rabbit punching women because they drive a Tesla, is not adequately performing the outrageous pain that you should be.
Right. You're supposed to be in a state of total panic.
Yes, be unhinged, or else it doesn't happen. This gets better, I assure you. We go to... Jim has 20 punch list items that he wants to go to get his validation.
Who? I can't imagine. I can't imagine. People say stuff that I disagree with all the time. People say crazy things that I disagree with all the time. And I don't feel the need to call up and rant at them.
Well, I'm glad he called up and ranted because he means it. I mean, this is honest. This is him going through something. And by the way, the government-funded radio would never allow this. Could you imagine all the yelling and what it would do to people over there? Area like you are, Jim. There's no reason to. You can say all sorts of stuff about Trump, okay? That he says ugly and dumb stuff sometimes. There you go, okay? There you go. I said a thing. That doesn't mean that you have to say he whole cloth is sucky in every way. The guy is good at business, Jim. Yes, some businesses went under, some didn't.
I don't have to explain to my children why I voted for somebody who cheated on his wife with a porn star.
There we go.
Is a convicted felon and can't manage his way out of a paper bag. I don't have to explain.
Why would you have to? Wait a second. Are you hiring a husband when you're hiring a president? Are you saying that Trump is the only person to have infidelity?
Rapist.
By the way, your guy.
And if you could cheat on your wife, you could cheat on
rape anybody. If you can cheat on your wife, you can cheat on your country. Okay, now Jim is constructing.
Did you ask him how he feels about JFK?
Oddly enough, I did, Alice. Trump didn't rape a damn person. What a hogwash thing to say.
Did he cheat with a porn star? Did he cheat on his wife?
Yes, exactly. In the proud history of presidents, did JFK cheat? Did Clinton cheat? Was LBJ handsy with the girls on the planes? Yes, he absolutely was.
You did that because you can't answer it.
Well, okay, Jim. Jim, did you happily vote for George W. Bush because he was a good Christian?
I didn't vote for George W. Bush.
Of course you didn't, because you don't care about the cheating. You're a Bill Clinton guy, Jim.
The second time I did.
What happened with Bill Clinton?
He ended up being a good president.
Bill Clinton?
No.
So his rapes and his infidelity, him using the intern in his office, that's fine. How come he didn't have to do the moral litmus test? Jim's moral litmus test was
no one's saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right. But take your own responsibility.
I'm not voting for Father of the Year or Husband of the Year. I'm voting for a pragmatic business person to fix the country.
He's not. He's not.
What do you mean he's not? Well, the first thing I wanted was the border to be closed. How's the border doing, Jim?
The border was doing fine when the Democrats finally closed it. And
Jim. That's going to have to be it for today. You've confirmed that you're living in a delusion and that this is a sob for you emotionally, because when the Democrats finally closed it, Jim, that's rough, man. 8605. So the point is, we get to the Democrats finally close the border. And it's not that, and by the way, he's a good call. I kind of never really know what I'm going to get with him. I know that he's this close to losing it all the time. I can tell. I can feel.
You're going to see a video of him on a Tesla's camera.
Oh, totally. He's totally been doing that. Absolutely. But the point is, like, the things, I go back to it, is that, like, where did he get that information about the Russians? Or did his mind just sift out everything else? Russians.
Well, and I think there's a certain mindset where they have to, like, convince themselves of all this stuff because they are not interested in, like, the real results of the thing. And if they observe the real results of the thing, which is that prices got wildly more expensive under Biden, Biden wrecked the economy, Biden got 13 people killed in Afghanistan, 13 American service members killed, lots more people than that killed, but total debacle pulling out of there. The world was on fire. The Ukraine war happened on Biden's watch. October 7th happened on Biden's watch. Like, Biden was a terrible, terrible, terrible president by any metric of things that actually happened during the Biden administration, right? Whereas
but
the
also,
Trump administration, nothing bad has happened. And even this tariff stuff, which everyone says is bad and, like, I don't know, could be bad. Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't, like, believe anything anymore. But the stock market certainly didn't like it today. And none of the economic commentators that I trust think it's any good. So we'll see what happens. But I can tell you that right now, today, the sneakers are not $300.
Exactly.
So I don't have anything to be upset about yet. Maybe I will. I don't know.
Oh, I totally agree.
I'm not clear that any of this is going to come to fruition, whether because Trump's going to change his tactics or Congress is going to do something, which, by the way, if Congress, if Congress does not like these tariffs, Congress gave the president the power to do tariffs. They can take it back. They're supposed to do
Yes, they can.
Laws. And
didn't they vote yesterday to get rid of the Canadian tariffs? I think they did. I think the Senate voted.
So if this, there's still checks and balances. If this gets out of control, the Congress can step up and do something about it. This is not, like, I don't think Trump likes seeing the stock market tank.
No.
I think of all the people, he knows that Wall Street loves him. So sorry about the light, you guys. I just don't necessarily believe that any of this bad stuff is going to happen. And it hasn't happened yet. So, like you said to him, like, when my sneakers are $300, I'll come and apologize to you, Jim. But I just, like, nothing bad has happened to you yet. And by the way, like, all the check your 401k people, don't check your freaking 401k day by day with the stock market going up and down. Just don't do it. Check it once every 10 freaking years and shut up about it.
Yep.
Because the market always evens out and is fine in a longer term, right? And like, yeah, I get it. If you're close to retirement, it can be scary, or in retirement, it can be scary. But I just like this is not a permanent situation that the market's going to go down.
Right. It is fascinating, though. It's unbelievable to me to hear the analysts who I've heard talk about this, like David Bahnsen, who I love. Linsman was on with Charles C.W. Cook today. Another great one. These are great guests. Lindemann, totally disassembled. What's it called when you disassemble something? He
Dismantled?
No, deconstructed. Yes, he totally deconstructed tariffs and what they're meant to do, and how they really do it, or how they fail to do it, and how they don't really work now compared to back then. 110 years ago, these tariffs were mostly for like foodstuffs and things, and now you're tariffing iPhones, and iPhones, the components are made all over the world.
Well, right.
So and then come back here, and that hurts Apple as well, and so when he went and made a great point about the tariffs, because tariffs are protectionist for American industry, that they harm that industry because the competition goes away. And he used the example of the shipbuilding in the United States because of the Jones Act, whatever that act is. And it's very, very interesting. But anyway, the point is that I heard it was a very clear dismantling of the idea that tariffs could do anything, could help at all. And even tariffs on steel. Tariffs on steel are fine, but then again, we use steel.
Right.
And our companies use steel. And like it. So what I'm saying is that I've heard all these economists that I really love talk about how these things, and lay out how these things are self-defeating, and these tariffs are going to be absolutely terrible. And even if there's an off-ramp and tomorrow he declares victory, it still will have destabilized in the economy somehow. And then you go to other people like Charles Payne, or any of the White House guys, the Bessent, who we like, or any of the other White House people, and they are absolutely sure that these tariffs are going to work, and they're celebrating. I don't understand. Like,
well, it's also
economists. Funny. There's a mathematics to it, isn't there? Like, there is one truth, is there not?
There is, but it's economics is tricky as a field because because you can't really run like a real experiment. There's no like counterfactual. You know what I mean? Like if you're a scientist and you do a science experiment, you have an experimental group and a control group, and you give one set of lab rats the drug and the other set you don't give them the drug, and you see which one does better. You know what I mean? Like so it's a controlled experiment. It's a randomized controlled trial, right? But there's none of that with economics. We only have the stuff that happened and then what happened after it to tell us, which is kind of open to interpretation. And so there's a lot of debate about some of these things, about how they work. And I mean, there's a lot of debate even about like when I grew up, the sort of we were always taught that, you know, that FDR got us out of the Great Depression with his like programs and stuff, right? And that was like the Keynesian point of view. It was based on the ideas of an economist called Keynes, that if you put money into the pockets of the poorest people, then they'll like spend it and build up the economy from the bottom up, right? Which is still an idea that you hear Democrats have. Like you'll hear Nancy Pelosi talk about this stuff, about, you know, if you put money directly into the hands of people, that'll boost the economy. This has largely been debunked. You cannot make the economy better by putting money directly into people's hands. You can help those people to an extent, depending how redistributionist you are. But I think one of the lessons of the COVID money, which Biden continued into big inflation, was that if you just hand everybody a bunch of money, it doesn't make the economy better. It makes inflation. Right?
Right.
And it initially feels like it's making the economy better because the prices take a little bit to adjust. So a bunch more people spend a bunch more money. And, you know, I was working nights at Home Depot at that time. All these people had all this spending money and were spending all this time at home. Home Depot could not keep stuff in stock. They were blowing all their sales plans away. Everyone was getting bonuses. They thought they were doing amazing. They were growing. It was huge, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't real growth. You know,
right.
like, that's not real money. It doesn't work like that. And people like AOC they follow a school of thought called like modern monetary theory.
Yes.
Which is this idea that the government shouldn't worry about debt at all. They should just print as much money as they feel like and spend it.
Which is crazy.
It is. Of course it's crazy. But their philosophy is sort of like, well, what will happen that's bad? Like, prove it. You know, and so this is why there's so much debate in economics about this stuff, is that you can do stuff and see what happens, but you don't have like a real controlled experiment. So then people argue about what the causes of it are, right? You know, Biden still disagrees that government, if he knows what's going on, that government spending is what caused the inflation, right? It was Putin's price hike. It was greedy grocers. It was greedy gas station owners. It was everybody but him, right? That's what he thinks causes inflation. But, I mean, so, you know, these economists come up with models that they try and use to explain what they think happened. And then they go forward and they say, you know, like, here, I'm going to apply my model to this thing in the future. And you check and see if it turns out it was right or not.
Right.
You know, but these things are incredibly complicated, and I've heard a lot of people argue nowadays that, you know, it wasn't, because I learned that the post-World War I tariffs and trade wars was part of what caused the Great Depression, and I'm not sure now that that's, like, even true. I know I don't believe that FDR solved it.
No. No, I think that World War II solved it.
Yeah, I think that that's probably true. You know, we had to like ramp up production in a lot of ways out of necessity, you know, and a lot of women went into the workforce too, and that increased like the size of the economy as well. So, I mean, this stuff is it's very dynamic. There's a lot of variables. It depends on people reacting to things in certain ways that they may or may not do. And like, for example, with the tariffs, the whole thing with tariffs, the reason why they can argue back and forth about who pays the tariffs, like where Trump goes, we're going to charge the other country the bill and the foreign companies, and they're the ones that are paying the tariff, and they're saying, well, it'll raise prices for Americans.
Right, yes.
Is that this is something that's true for all taxes, by the way. Corporate taxes, taxes on, quote, billionaires. It's very, very difficult to control who actually bears the economic load of a tax, right? You can control who writes the check. You know, like you can control who you send the tax bill to, but like if you raise property taxes on businesses in your downtown of your town, they're going to pass some of that cost, probably not all, but some of it onto the consumer in some way, right?
Yes.
So you can tax the business, but consumers end up paying.
Oh, yes.
Right? So, and that's true of tariffs, and it's true of every tax. And the debate isn't like really about who pays it, because both parties end up incurring some of the cost realistically. The question is really just about how much each party bears, and the answer to that is determined by how much the consumer is willing to pay a higher price. Mm-hmm. Because if a consumer is willing to pay a higher price, if they're very price inelastic, right? That's the phrase economists use. Then they'll just pay the higher price, and the business will charge a higher price because they won't lose out on so much business. But if the consumer is very price elastic, then they will not pay a higher price. So the business has to eat the cost because they won't. So, and that depends on people's free will. And you don't know, like the economic theory with the math that the economists do depends on knowing the number that's the price elasticity of demand of the item in question. And you don't know what the price elasticity of demand is on every item in the American economy. That's why it's like so complicated. So when you say like who's going to bear the cost of this, the consumer or the foreign businesses, like it really depends on your price elasticity for any given item that's in the American economy.
Of course.
Right? So that's why it's an unanswerable question. That's why all these things are unanswerable, because yes, the theory can like sort of predict stuff, but to predict it with any specificity, you'd have to have like an infinite amount of data to put into your model. It's like they're not even really... I did this whole project in one of my economics classes one time where I was looking at like solutions to fix Social Security, right? And like the way they predict how much Social Security money they're going to need in the future is they like take a sample of people and sort of like try and figure out how much they're going to like guesstimate. Like they don't actually know. There's no way to predict it. They're like taking a sample and estimating what they think it will cost in the future. They don't actually like have the data to know what it's going to cost at some point in the future. It's kind of crazy. So I don't know, but...
Well, Sandra, also in Boston, ICE there arresting another illegal alien charged with aggravated child rape. It's just the latest example in what appears to be a recurring problem in the state of Massachusetts. But instead of cooperating with federal agents, a Boston judge is now holding an ICE agent in contempt of court. This is after the agency took a different man into custody in the middle of his criminal trial. Senior correspondent Eric Shawn has all the details. So, Eric, what the heck happened?
Tom Homan needs to get to Boston and start arresting these officials immediately.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah, Bill, he was on trial in a Massachusetts state court, but the judge dismissed the case because ICE grabbed the defendant. And now that judge, well, he's blaming the ICE agent.
Where are you taking him? Where are you taking him? Where are you taking him?
Take a look at this video of William Martel LeBron as he left court on the second day of his trial in Boston. His attorney says he is being taken by ICE agents who then stashed him in an SUV and drove away.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But
they have to take them because you won't hand them over, because you're activists.
Well, right. I mean, this is the state of the judge letting illegals escape out of her courtroom, out the back, out the basement door, or whatever she was doing. This is the state. Like, can you imagine the mental state of the person? Like, how many SSRIs you have to be on to be upset that the ICE agents are grabbing the child rapist and taking him away? Like,
half the country, Alice. I mean,
like what? I don't get it.
I'll look at the yard sign. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. If it's about Adam Time, it's about Madam Time, then yes, that person is one of them.
But like, what? Why do they choose to die on these hills? That's what I don't understand. It's like we have Hamas, we have child rapists, we have members of MS-13,
right,
and everyone they're like willing to go to the mat for.
We have some spoiled rich kid who shoots to death the CEO of a healthcare agency. And we love him now, too. We love you, Luigi. Okay.
Yeah, they named a bill after him in California. They're trying to pass a bill to make it harder for insurance companies to deny claims.
Freaking amazing. Oh, my God. Putin, please bomb us. Please bomb us. Oh, my God. Do we even want to talk? Want to even dare say what Matt Walsh tweeted?
I mean... I think it's worth talking about the story. I don't think we have to get into Matt Walsh's take in particular, but I think it's worth talking about the story and some people on the left's reaction to it.
Okay.
Like the
this
lady
is the
with the
tweet from Matt Walsh this afternoon.
I thought we just said we weren't going to do Matt Walsh's tweet.
Well, you can't. We need, if we're going to talk about the response, we need the tweet. We don't have to address his tweet.
To the story?
Oh, no. Okay, the story. Okay, the story is the story of the two high school kids were going to an event at a track meet, and another kid was sitting in one of their seats, and they asked him to move. He said no. The two high school kids were black. The third kid were white. The third kid is black, who was sitting in the seat. So one of the white kids said, "That's my seat," and can you move? The kid said no. He tried to pull the kid's backpack, like to get him out of the seat, and the black guy stabbed the white kid to death, and he died in his brother's arms.
Yeah, a white
vicious
kid who's like a star of his football team and all this stuff. And
right. So to which Matt Walsh tweeted, "If I told you that a young man stabbed another young man to death for telling him that he was in the wrong seat, and then I told you that one young man in this altercation was white and the other black, and then I asked you to guess the race of the assailant, every single person would know the answer immediately. Young black males are violent to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree. That's just a fact. We all know it. And it's time that we speak honestly about it, or nothing will ever change." One of the first... so that is a bold thing to tweet.
It's the tweet of somebody who's not worried about getting canceled.
No, absolutely not. One of the first responses is by this lady, or Aurora Stormrider, says, writer, photographer, AI art enthusiast, says, "There's a video of the twin brother telling what happened. This is what he said. Carmelo was sitting in the tent with the boys and he wasn't supposed to be there. They asked him to leave. Austin, the deceased boy, told Carmelo to move. Carmelo said, 'Make me.' So Austin grabbed Carmelo's backpack to make him move. Austin got stabbed by Carmelo." Now this is her voice saying this, the person on Twitter. "Whatever made Austin think it was okay to grab the backpack? Would he still have gotten stabbed if he hadn't grabbed something that wasn't his? We won't ever know the answer to that, but I suspect the answer is no. I am very sorry that this happened and the end result was what it is, but I can't tell you how many times I've told my children, don't ever touch anything that doesn't belong to you. Do parents still teach their children this? Sure makes you wonder, doesn't it? This could have been handled completely differently. Instead of the kids taking it upon themselves to remove somebody from the tent, they could have gotten an adult involved, and most likely things would have turned out differently." So as amazing as Matt Walsh's tweet was in its boldness, hers is equally as amazing in its absolute insanity. And should I also say this, Alice? If we're in a battle of which tweet is more racially insensitive, I will say hers. Hers. This hidden, not so beneath the surface, thinly veiled supposition that
a black teenager can't handle somebody touching his backpack without stabbing people.
Exactly. I mean, you gotta. They stab if you touch their things. Whoa.
I mean, yeah. Talk about the racism of low expectations.
Yes.
The idea that that's like an okay reaction to this, but also this weird. I mean, and we know. I guess it's not weird. I guess we see it all the time. The left has this like. Very stratified view of who's a victim and who's an oppressor, right? And they have such enormous deference to the victimhood of their favored groups that it's like uncomfortable and weird, right? It's like, talk about suicidal empathy, right? Which is the name of that book that somebody wrote about it. I forget who. Somebody who's on Twitter. You'll know it when you see it. I will too. But the suicidal empathy, this idea, and they've done a bunch of studies on this. It's very interesting that, like in-group versus out-group preference. Have you heard of this? Where you basically, if you ask people like who they sympathize with more, and like show them pictures of people, white people are the only group who sympathize less with white people than with out groups that aren't their race. They're like, they think more highly of and have better opinions, all things being equal, of people of other races compared to white people. Versus every other race. Like Asians better. Black people like black people better. Hispanic people like Hispanic people better. Like they're always like more willing to give their own race the benefit of the doubt. White people are the only ones who are the opposite. And I guarantee you white women are driving it very heavily.
Oh, God, yes.
It's the judge who's
white women, Jim in the car, and any other...
You're holding an ICE agent in contempt of court because they're trying to deport a child rapist.
Right.
Like, that's nuts. You hear about high school student who gets stabbed by another high school student, and because you find out the stabber is black, you sympathize more with him than with the kid who got stabbed to death and died in his brother's arms.
Can you imagine the thought piece in the Atlantic? The trouble with backpacks. Backpacking while black.
Yeah, it's insane. It's a weird, insane urge to sympathize with the further away thing. And it's interesting because... Did you see the Lena Dunham stuff I sent?
Yes.
Did you listen to her speech, actually?
No, like everybody else, I couldn't get...
look good. You couldn't get past how she looked.
I'm but she has broken new ground.
It's insane, but you need to play this because it plays into what I'm saying. So it turns out remember how Lena Dunham sexually abused her sister?
Yes.
And then wrote about it in a book?
Yes.
Well, her sister is now a trans man.
Oh, that's I didn't know that. Jeez. Oh.
And she has a lot to say about trans people. It's not just that we should be nice to trans people because they're mentally ill and we should be kind to them and use their pronouns so we don't hurt their feelings. She has way more to say about it than that.
But as I've watched my trans loved ones come into their own truths, it was as if I went from perceiving only primary colors to a whole rainbow of subtle shades. From seeing flat images to looking at the world in 4D. And I released so much of the need to define myself against someone else's measuring stick, and I was able to embrace aspects
She's done
of
defining
who
herself
I
to
truly
measuring
was
sticks,
that I
that's
had
for sure.
beaten into
Alice?
submission. To know a trans person is to know someone who has taken a Herculean journey to overpower these assumptions. Someone who has experienced...
It is the biggest act of selfish, navel-gazing vanity that's ever been known to civilized people, because there's absolutely also no risk to it. I'm going to demand that you believe the impossible, fantastical lie that I'm telling you, and I want the law to compel you to do that, and if not, I want your life to be destroyed. Now, you must play along with me and feel bad for me and celebrate me. Holy frig.
She's not done. You have to
Doesn't
keep
quite sound Herculean.
Profound inner and outer doubt, and they have triumphed.
By the way, she's wearing a pink top, and her huge sausage arms are coming out of the pink top. Pink, don't ruin pink for me, Lena Dunham. I like girls who like unicorns and pink, and like the room smells good. Don't do this for me. I mean, when I say girls, I mean women.
Their very existence in this world is a miracle of self-definition. And as a result, my trans loved ones are the wisest, funniest, and most embodied people that I have ever known. So if these words reach just...
Why couldn't you just say they're just fine like everybody else? What was it, the thing we were reading the other day? It's saying, I will pray and fight for trans rights and trans for every single day of my life. Psh, calm down, everybody.
The wisest, most embodied people that I know. What does it mean that they're more embodied than us?
You don't understand, Alice. You
Okay,
you and I are flat prints. They're 4D.
Okay.
Okay. You and I. What was the other thing she said?
She used to see only primary colors, and now she can see a whole rainbow of subtle shades or something.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So once they're Herculeans. So.
One teenager who wonders if they've been abandoned by cis people after the most recent election. Or one trans person struggling to remember how loved they are.
By the way, yes, you have. Your game, the LARPing, has been abandoned.
We didn't even talk about the Washington Post article, girl.
Yeah, I did yesterday.
No, I read it to you in the car this morning.
Oh, so I talked about them on my show. I'm sorry. I stole all your takes anyway. They're all out there. If you want to hear my show, just go listen. Yeah.
There's a news flash that a boy is now playing track and field on a boys' track and field team in Virginia.
Exactly.
He's not very good at it, but...
He's not very good at it because he wasn't allowed to go through normal puberty because he got gender-affirming care, which is really like chemotherapy to a young, healthy body, just destroying it. And now he's weaker than most boys are. And
everybody's told him that the fact that he's weak and messed up now means he's just like all the other girls.
Yes. Another Herculean story.
See, you're weak and pathetic. You must be a girl.
I will have done my whole job. So we love you. We see you. We bow down to your charisma, uniqueness.
Fuck it. A little much, Lena. We bow down to your
charisma.
talk about something, another thing too, where we totally understand why somebody touching your backpack had to set you up, why you had to kill that person. It's really
like George Floyd in the gold coffin and the whole thing.
No,
like,
but this is really I feel unconscious way or subliminal way of saying, like, if you say we bow down to your courage, you know what was? It tells you. This is why girls are so poisoned, because her best friends are telling Lena Dunham that she looks great. You look so cute in that pink shirt with her sausages hanging out of them. It's like, it's terrible. I actually had this happen the other day with women. This is why women are evil. But you know how me and my next door neighbor have the third woman we hang out with?
The third woman that we hang
Well, it's me and Dan, who people have met at the thing, and then Maritza, who's the beautiful divorcee who we hang out with sometimes. And sometimes we'll go over to a playground and drink beers on a or seltzers, because I'm a man's man. Anyway, the other day I went over there and Maritza said, oh, Tom, you look so good. My goodness, you look so good. You look so handsome. And I said, oh, well, thank you. You know, healthy living, you know, because obviously I don't look good and I don't look handsome. And then she said, oh, wow, you look great. Don't sing it. Don't add a melody to your lie about how much I look. I know you're lying. You know you're lying. I'm fine. You know, you could just call me a fat mess. I'll be fine. I'll be fine with either one. I prefer the fat mess one. But don't sing it. Because really here, what are we doing? You know, Lena Dunham does not bow down to the courage of the Herculean sister she has, who, oddly enough, she's a psycho and the sister's a psycho. Shock of all shocks, I get the feeling the parents are psychos. It's like, don't oversell it, okay? Just freaking, oh.
Nerve and talent. And we are so lucky to love you and to fight with you and for you, to learn from you, and to ensure that our rights are inseparable.
Is this the Dalai Lama she's talking about? Like, who is she talking about here? Freaking Thomas Sowell? Can you imagine?
Yours. Trans lives don't just matter.
Do you have anybody, any mortal that you feel like that about?
Not a mortal necessarily.
No, I can't imagine somebody walking on Earth who I'd ever say that about, unless I was trying to have sex with a woman. Which case I also wouldn't mean it, and she would know it. Oh my God.
Transform the world into a place of possibility, joy, and discovery. Trans liberation is our liberation, and without it, none of us are free. Thank you all so much. But as I've...
Without it, none of us are free.
Trans liberation is our liberation.
Does that mean they get to have more of everything they demand?
Yeah.
And including the suspension of
They get to spike volleyballs into other girls' faces. Or
they get to berate
or
people
you're not free.
They get to berate people at a video store with their ugly dress and like jacked arms because they got misgendered. Oh, you know, how do I put it? The trans people movement are the most overhyped, most disappointing group of people ever that's been overhyped. Like in the early 80s, like the Valley Girls, you know about the Valley Girls. Okay, there you go. They were at least like shallow but hot, like gagging with a spoon, that kind of thing. Generally, they were like a hot, you know, I assume it's San Fernando Valley, or is it Simi Valley? Someone will correct me, I'm sure. But Valley Girl, like there was a thing, they had a redeeming quality. This, and like even like the rap community, when the rappers came along and they were very crude, and a lot of them were excellent orators, but they at least like stood up in front of people with microphones, threatened to kill each other, and often did. Like that's at least something.
They brought something to the table.
Yeah, the trans miserables are just like there's nothing.
Well, that's like what boggles my mind about the drag show stuff. at the end of the day is like now, unfortunately, due to videos on the internet, I've seen some drag performances, which I never like intentionally set out to do. But I always assumed that like maybe I disagree with like the way they're sort of mocking women, but like that it would be done to some level of quality and that's why people like it.
Yeah.
But it's actually like terrible. It's like bad lip syncing, bad dancing, scary makeup. Like none of it is well executed.
Well, in Alice, that's the thing. That's the you've hit on the truth of the matter. 20 years ago, and I told you that I saw Miss Gay Massachusetts that was a PBX operator at the hotel I worked at in the late 90s. And we used to go to Jacques, which was a tranny bar back then. It still is, I'm sure. It's a huge cover. Well, it's a huge cover for straights now. Remember we tried to go there with our two friends?
Did we?
We did try to go there, yeah. And they were like, it's a $26 cover. They think we were profiled. So anyway, the whole thing about drag queens is that they were talentless, that they were ugly, that they were over the top with all the stuff, but it was a like, F it, we're being naughty as hell, get drunk, party, but that was it. The joke was they were a punchline.
Right.
But now you've got suburban white women into beta males treating them like they're artists. Like they're not supposed to be. They don't want to be. They don't even know what to do when you're handing your child to them and they're singing Let It Go as Elsa. Like they don't know. It's weird. They're not supposed to be elevated. It's just a trashy thing. You know, it's like freaking, I don't even know what to say. It's like it's being a mime somewhere, or just like a filthy, like a comic doing an act. It's like, you don't have to elevate, the Dice Man, Andrew Dice Clay, as the character Andrew Dice Clay doing, Jack and Jill Went Up the Hill. You don't have to elevate that as fine art, although it is kind of fine art, I must say. So let me take that one away. But the drag thing, it's meant to be a joke. It's not really supposed to be a thing. We're not supposed to celebrate this. But since you think somewhere somebody's being mean to them, then I'm going to pretend I am enjoying this performance of Let It Go while this gaudy fat dude is dressed like a whore and is lip syncing. And my 2-year-old, and he like grabs my 2-year-old, who must be getting weird energy. And by the way, here's another thing. Is it like the guy I knew, who I think his name was George? I could probably find this out. Who won Miss Gay Massachusetts? He's saying who was Liza Minnelli's mother? You probably don't know.
Judy Garland.
There we go, Alice. Yeah, he's saying a Judy Garland song, I think, which is going to be a crowd pleaser in that place. But he would have like bristled at the thought of like there being children in this bar. Like they would have said like, "What are you doing? This is not weird."
Tim and Canton wants to know what your drag stage name was.
That is incorrect. I was never. There are people in my circle who dressed as women for Halloween, and I never did that. Thankfully, I have too much of it, like an actual like feminine body. I would never have like even done. I could have like, 'cause like I could probably fill out a nice dress. Like I would be more femininely pleasing than Lena Dunham. So
That's
yeah,
possibly true.
So pardon me? What? I was just joking. Oh. All right, should we do the chat?
Yeah, let's go to the chat.
Oh, by the way, guys, feel free to, if you're not a Patreon fan, please feel free to join us on Patreon. That said, Alice, we are going away last show we do next week is Wednesday, is it? So then we're gone Thursday.
Until the following Wednesday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we'll try to do a show.
We're gone a week.
We're gone a week. So I don't know what we're going to do for that week, but we're not going to have this equipment. We're going to be with family. So don't stop loving us, please. And don't punish us for going away. And don't listen to anything else, please. Take a week off. Yeah, take a week off. Don't listen to something that sounds like it's adjacent to us and then fall in love with that thing instead and realize how much more value there is in that other thing. Don't do that. Just stop listening to anything, please. That is my...
You can listen to old Burn Barrel episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think a good one is, Alice? Was the one where you fall down, or we talk about you falling down? That is excellent because you lose control of yourself. Big name guest.
There's the one where you falsely tweeted out that I was driving drunk.
Oh, that's good. We like that.
You were hired as a consultant, Tom?
Yes, I was.
You actually scammed a company out of money to be a consultant? I'm willing to bet that this company is no longer operating. What did you consult on?
They did
the
go into
right
bankruptcy.
type of parm to go over pasta or as a side dish?
I could do that.
Who would hire you?
I know.
I don't get it.
I was the right man for the job.
By the way, if I'm going to rank my parms to go over pasta or as a side to the pasta, I'm going veal number 1, eggplant number 2,
Ooh.
chicken number 3.
Ooh. Okay. Yes, I consulted for the Boston Herald because they wanted to build an online radio station. Michael Graham convinced Pat Purcell to do that. And then he said I was the right man for the job. I just gotten laid off. So that was it. That was a good gig. That was good. The whole Boston Herald Radio time is a good gig. It's denigrated by certain barstool podcasters, but it is but I mean, we had the president on a couple times. It was like, now I know, now looking back, we were a few years too early, but you needed people to build.
Yeah.
But that was the model. That was the model. You could do just podcasting, and then you need no reporters.
If podcasts were as big then as they were now, that would have been like, it was like just a teensy bit too early, because you got people all the time who were like, what radio station is it on?
Yeah.
And then like couldn't, when you were like, it's online, it's a podcast, like they could not do it. Yeah. And the other, another challenge, which I didn't know because I was only ever a consultant once, is that I tried to save the company money. I didn't realize that you're supposed to.
That I should have had somebody go in and build a studio rather than, do trade deals with people and buy stolen equipment and buy, everything I scrounged for because I wanted to save money because the guy who brought me on was a friend and a great guy. But I think probably the way to do it was just to go pro and just whatever. But anyway, fun job. Great building. All gone now. All, right.
Hey, Tom and Alice.
Hey.
Hey.
People are asking about you.
Won't believe what I just saw in downtown Bloomington, Indiana. I don't know how to describe it.
I'm going to guess. This is something I saw in 1995 with my friend Jay. I bet you he saw 2 homeless people having sex. That's my guess.
I'll just come out and say it. There was a naked lady just strolling around the park where all the homeless people
here we go
hang out, and I was just like, it was just very unpleasant, to say the least. I think I was more upset that she wasn't attractive.
Yeah.
What's that say about me?
Yeah, wasn't I on the right track?
Mm-hmm.
Of course. I know that tone. because I've been there before. Or I've seen it. I've seen it more than...
There was a video going around of a lady in an airport.
Not a good video.
Screaming.
I'm going to ask you. There was another one 2 weeks ago of a good one at an airport.
Oh.
This latest one, no bueno. Please, if you're going to get naked, please be hot. I will not be getting naked. I don't get naked in front of Alice Shattuck. I will not be naked ever. I will not do that to you at an airport. But if you're going to be, because I'm disgusting. But if you're somebody,
I like you.
I know you're sick, Alice. Obviously, you need a battery of psychologists. But you look good at an airport naked. You look great. Although the lighting might be harsh, but still, you look great. But the airport lighting is a tough one, so I would generally warn people. Wasn't Lena Dunham naked?
Yeah, and girls like all the time, I feel like.
You watch that?
No, I never did.
Mm-hmm.
But that was always the topic of conversation. But I think it's interesting because it's one of those shows that everybody acted like you had to see it at the time, but like nobody talks about it or rewatches it anymore.
It's interesting because that's right before we took the turn into total insanity. But she was a good harbinger for that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Like force feed us this
slop.
Ugh.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
The Doge thing that's going on. I know Elon announced he's leaving at the end of May or whatever it is, or May 1st, but the it will go on. I'm assuming because he's got all his guys in place. But the thing that I've not heard talked about, or I haven't heard anyone defending Doge about it, is am I wrong, or is a lot of what they're highlighting money that's already been spent? And that they're trying to make sure things get right-sized going forward. And it doesn't mean that the budgets in the case of the Department of Education, obviously that's going away with the help of God. But in these other departments where they're shrieking about, you're cutting funding, all this other stuff, I guarantee you the funding will still sort of go up. It just will go up at a much smaller rate. This is what Rush Limbaugh used to talk about in the 90s. Baseline budgeting, according to Democrats, was you asked for a 25% increase, and instead you're getting a 12.5% increase, and that's a cut.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just, I think they need now, especially now that Elon's gone, I think they need to do a lot better job explaining the facts. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think so. First of all, that's exactly the baseline budgeting thing, or in a lot of times in municipal finance, they'll call it like level service funding. Like we're funding the same services this year that we funded last year, but we need 11% more money to fund the exact same things, or it's a cut, right? So they do this all the time. And you're completely right. They are identifying issues that like already existed. And part of the problem and part of why judges keep blocking this is Congress are supposed to be the ones to outlay the money and spend it. And so, yeah, if Congress continues to outlay the money's still being allocated to departments. And it's not clear if Trump necessarily has the right to not spend the money. Like, yes, he controls the executive branch, but that's why they were talking about what is it called, impoundments? Yes. And that if it's an impoundment, if he doesn't spend money, right? They were like, if Congress votes for this, so like Congress has to cut this actual funding, right? Like it doesn't save the money just to fire the people if Congress is still giving the money to the department. So they're gonna have to, like, eventually Congress will have to vote on this stuff.
I agree with you, Alice, but I think Congress is they're
wimps and they're scared of everything.
And they're scared of the tariffs right now. They don't know what to do.
Hey, Tom, I think the synergy of your show requires circling back to you folks, thinking outside the box for that low-hanging fruit. Because we want to touch base before we table anything and get our ducks in a row.
Table anything. Oh, man. And it's 20 years ago when I was really in a lot of these marketing meetings, but we were all making sure we're singing off the same sheet of music. Oh.
We don't say that anymore. We just say we're going to align.
And get our ducks in a row, have some boots on the ground. We don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Well, most of these are classics. It's just the new marketing speak that really kills me.
So let's put a pin in that.
That was a huge one. You know who uses that one? Kirk uses that one. Put a pin in that. Oh, jeez.
We'll make a hard stop and make sure the bandwidth,
huge one,
is not going to lie. Just a couple of things to think about.
Yeah, bandwidth. Although it kind of makes sense. Bandwidth it's another way of saying I'm freaking busy.
Hard stop.
I guess you have to do. It's an accessory, right? It's like wearing a nice outfit.
Wow, poor Justin Trudell. Kirk ripped him apart this week on the producer show on KMS. And now, Alice, you don't even mention him being one of Kirk's producers. All you mentioned was Cullinane. Man, that kid's having a tough week.
So he is Kirk Minahan's producer, Justin. And I did not hear that show. You didn't hear it either, I don't think. Did you?
Mm-mm.
No, I didn't hear or see it. So I didn't know what happened, but I do like Justin. I think he's a great guy and a true believer for the Kirk Minahan show. And I mean, he'd die for Kirk. I mean, why would you rip him? I don't know what.
I didn't rip him.
No, not you. Why would Kirk rip him? I don't know why he would. But he's a great guy. You've met him, right?
Mm-hmm.
He still blocks us, I think, both of us on Twitter.
Yeah.
But he's the kind of guy. If I was in radio, and radio like was a big thing like it was, or if we, he's a good soldier. He's a good soldier and a good guy. And I love the fact that he goes and tries to lose weight by eating carb only. To me, that is wonderful, and I think that's fantastic.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Kerry from Winchester's husband is correct. I'm sorry, I forgot your name when we met at the celebration. But you're correct that scene with Alec Baldwin was specifically added for the movie by the producers. They asked Mamet to write that scene because they felt the movie needed sort of a grabber at the beginning. It needed more punch at the beginning. Because if you've ever seen the play, I've never seen the play live. I've watched it on videotape. It's more of a slow burn.
Yeah.
All the other scenes are just as funny and depressing, et cetera. But it really gives the movie a lift with that scene at the beginning. And I know, Tom, you indicated you thought that was like the movie, not a letdown, but the movie never reached that height again.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to watch Al Pacino's final speech. He plays Ricky Roma, the best salesman in the group. And he's got this final speech after his sales manager has blown a sale for him. And he dresses the sales manager down. And, this is a lot of homophobic stuff comes up. There's a famous sound cut where Pacino goes, "You fairy!" And, Howard Stern used that forever. But rewatch his speech. It's got the great thing about, you never open your mouth till you know what the shot is, among other things. So that's my recommendation. Thank you.
I watched it. I really, really liked it, Steve. It was getting late towards the end of it. I'll check it out again. And I do remember the Pacino role. I assume he was talking about Kevin Spacey. I'll check it out again. I thought that the thing was freaking great. It makes me want to look up everything else David Mamet has done. But yeah, but Baldwin was so good that I really, you would have thought with a performance that good that he's coming back, that he'll be in the rest of this thing. And so when he wasn't, I was like, yeah. But I could watch that kind of thing forever. This one's called Our Reaction When Tom Tells Stories, Alice. I assume this is a complimentary message.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit.
That is incorrect. That is incorrect. I have not lied on any single story. Wouldn't I make myself look better? And there's one story where it's so close to being cool in it that I want to lie, but I didn't quite get it done. Ugh.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
I came up with a new aphorism. It's a play on the old, a conservative is a liberal who's been mugged.
Yes.
I got one. A conservative is a liberal whose Tesla has been fucked with.
Ooh, Steve.
Oh, thank you.
Not bad.
They're getting stickers now. I mean, I think they had them even before, but people have somebody sent me a picture of one that's says Elon with the little line through it.
Crossed it out.
To show that I'm not one of those Tesla owners.
Yeah. That's so pathetic. By the way, I saw one. By the way, Toasty, I saw the, I'm not going to mention anything. I'm just going to say I saw the defensive
parking maneuvers.
Go on, Alice. I don't want anything to happen. I saw the defensive maneuver that we're doing with our Tesla, and I endorse.
Endorse?
Oh, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I actually drove around to make sure, because I thought I had seen a sticker on the back of it. And I was like, oh man, if he got a sticker saying no Elon or whatever, but there wasn't a sticker on the back of it. But you can see, I'll be in the video from yesterday. I did the loop around it just to see if there was a thing. But I am right there with you. I'd keep that baby in the garage for a little while longer.
Once he's out of the news and out of they won't care anymore.
Well, there'll be some kind of thing that you do that shows there'll be an exorcism of all the Teslas or something.
Anyway, thank you all for joining us in the chat. It's been fun. If you want to join us every day, you can do that at patreon.com/burnbarrel. If you like listening for free, you can go to burnbarrelpodcast.com. There's links to like our Spotify and our YouTube and Apple Podcasts, all things like that.
C'est la vie.